What's up? Hi. Hello, everybody. I'll take note that you guys are Star City group leaders, showing up 5 minutes early. Proud of you guys.
Hello, how's it going? David, welcome. It's been forever since I've seen you.
Whole 24 hours now.
24 hours, maybe even 26, 25. Rachel, you're alive?
Yes.
Kind of
Why do you
crazy.
sound so skeptical about that?
Well, I don't know. I just hadn't seen any proof. Living and breathing.
Here I am,
Amazing.
alive.
Oh. Okay. Amanda, are you there? Or are you faking it? We're here. I'll believe when I see it, literally. Chris, is that your apartment?
Yeah, it's my apartment.
I'm trying to figure out what the pillars of light, the weaving. Is that a reflection?
It's a little mirror from IKEA.
Oh, nice.
Wavy mirror. So
That's great.
Hey, Sarah.
What's up, guys? How are you?
That doesn't look like the nursing home.
I am in my own home,
Oh,
quarantining at my grandparents' empty house right now. So I get the whole place to myself.
wow.
Yeah.
Taking this social distance thing real seriously.
Yeah, just because of Dad. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Jordan, how are the house projects coming along?
Oh, the fixer-uppers are great.
What's the current projects?
Right now we're trying to move the shed in our backyard from
Yeah.
where it is, and it is very heavy. So it's currently detached from the ground, but still sitting in the same spot. So we need to recruit some muscles to come and lift it and move it.
Gotcha. How is it, like literally like pick it up and like, or how does one move a shed?
We're gonna try to do that. We'll see if it works.
That's great.
Is there a baby messing with a mute button? A toddler, maybe? Well, look at these people hopping on. People looking good, like they've taken a shower.
Christina, what are you and Jared eating?
It's egg roll in a bowl. So ground turkey and some coleslaw mix and coconut aminos. It's pretty good.
Nice.
That's the recipe. It's got good flavor.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Those coconut aminos will save your life. Scott, do you or do you not play video games with that?
Are you talking to me? You say
Yeah.
Scott? Okay. I do actually. I haven't played in a while, but I look the part for sure.
I do like that. Do you ever pretend you're like a fighter pilot with that on?
No, I do pretend to be a successful podcaster.
You do sound like very refined and distinguished.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Trevor and Rachel, it's been a while since I've seen you guys. Rachel, how are you doing? Trevor, I care about you too, but
Yeah, he's not pregnant. I'm good. Yeah. I'm ready to have this baby though.
yeah,
It's huge. Yeah. We're doing good though.
that's good. How is like, well, I feel like I have a million questions to ask you, but remind me of your exact due date.
June 14th.
Okay, June 4th. Ooh. Yeah. I have never been there. I've never been pregnant before. I've watched a lot of pregnancies though.
Yeah.
What's up, Josh?
Nothing much. How are you guys doing?
Gabe, where did you go? Oh, wait, where did you go? Oh, there you went. You skipped around on my screen.
Ooh.
It's kind of dark over there, man.
Is it?
You guys, I just like to see your shining, smiling faces, but it's okay. You can do whatever you want. Oh, hey, there's two of you there.
What's up?
Hey.
Hi, Rachel. Hi, Nash. Hi.
Wait, what was that? Who do you see? That's Kevin.
We'll give maybe
Mom, could I see that?
we'll maybe give another couple minutes before we get rolling here. Give just a little bit of time for a few more people to hop on. Jordan, unless you know who
Baby
is.
can't hop on. Right? Baby can't hop on.
Just give it a couple more minutes, probably.
Baby can't hop on. No, she can't hop on. Who are you looking for? You see JoJo? Well, right here.
Nash, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Craig, what's up on your wall behind you?
Oh yeah, that's my collection of soccer scarves I've gotten. So
Nice.
no,
I don't know if there were banners or scarves, and I thought there were snowboards.
yeah, definitely scarves.
Yes.
From some U.S. soccer games, a couple teams in Europe. So.
Yeah. Wait, a couple teams in Europe, and who else?
Just like a USA soccer. I've been to a couple of their like World Cup qualifying games before, but
Nice.
don't have any other wall decorations. So I gotta fill up with something.
Hey, that's colorful.
Yeah.
Fills the room. International flavor. It makes you look distinguished. Well
I know.
told.
I like to trick people into thinking I'm cultured, but I'm actually not. So.
I believe it. I don't even believe it that you said that. I think you are. Sydney, how are you doing?
I'm good. Doing good. Last couple weeks.
Yeah. I'm getting everyone's dates mixed up. What's the exact date?
May 17th. So not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Excited for you guys.
Thanks.
Does Kyle, do you want to read that book to all of us? Kyle Heddens?
There's no words in it, just pictures of babies, so it'd be pretty hard to read.
It's open to interpretation, whatever you want to make of it. I like that. Well, we'll give maybe one more minute here. The 10-minute warning will be up, and then we'll get rolling. I think I need to have the online gathering, like music that plays before the service. I should have that going in the background right now to make everyone feel comfortable as we wait to start. You guys can move and groove as we're waiting. Oh man, there's somebody driving the car. Joined along on the iPhone. How you guys doing?
Hi guys.
Oh.
Hey, Mama.
Yeah. We're doing good. Just on our way back from being at the hospital all day.
Where? Yeah. Right there.
What?
He goes, Bailey's not going to be here. It's so sad Bailey's not going to be here. What?
Okay, so we're on Andrew's phone and I literally have no idea who's talking.
Oh, that's scary. Nash, wanted to know where Bailey was.
Oh, there's Care. Hey.
More importantly, he wants to see the baby, but he can wait. He can wait.
Hey, Nashi. You know why we named him Riggs?
No. He's been waiting, though.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here. Hold on. Let me turn. You see me? Am I?
Oh no.
What?
Nash has been asking a lot why they named him Riggs. Huh.
We were all about to hear the story, and now
No.
it didn't work.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we named him Riggs because that's my mom's maiden name. So when she married my dad, her name went from Riggs to Buller. And then when I married Andrew, my name went from Buller to Rutten. So because it used to be my mom's last name, it's now our son's first name.
So her Nana, her Nana, or her Jet's Nana, her last name used to be Riggs before she met
Yeah.
Jet's papa. Does that make sense? You should say thanks for telling me.
It's a good question, Nashi.
Oh. He asked every 20 minutes. Riggs was born, huh?
Well, it's a good question, buddy.
Hey, well, glad you could join us on the phone. And glad all of you are here just to join us tonight. So we scheduled something out for close to this date a long time ago to do a Citigroup training, like our quarterly training that we usually do. And we did not know in December, when I put it on a calendar, that this was going to be the situation and this was going to be the occasion. It was far from it. And so our plans, this is kind of how the quarantine works, right? Our plans, even for this meeting, have changed multiple times and even taken a slight adjustment this morning as some different kinds of news and updates have come out. And so things are always changing, but we wanted to pause a second here at the beginning and just take some time to pray that God would guide our time, that he would enlighten us, that he would lead us to where he's trying to take us, and just kind of re-inspire us toward the role that we've been given to be the primary disciple makers in our church. That's really what Citigroup leaders have been called to do, to lead, to shepherd, disciple, or make disciples. And so we always want to take a humble posture because we know that God is the one who does the work, and he chooses to work through us. And so let's take some time. I'll pray for us to get us started, and then I'll give you a little introduction to what we're going to be doing, and then we'll launch into our first thing, and then we'll go from there. So let me pray for us. Jesus, thank you for today. Even though it's cold and rainy, God, there are plenty of things, plenty of ways that you've shown your faithfulness to us today. I don't know the numbers of them because I've only talked to a handful of people, but surely, God, you have just held our worlds together. You've gotten us to this point. You've walked faithfully with us. And God, we pray as we gather tonight, you would give us great just wisdom and discernment. God, give us a vision. Give us your vision in the midst of when we're a lot of times it seems like in kind of a frantic mode or the survival mode or whatever it may be, or just kind of just kind of a down place or a frustrated place. There's so many different emotions that are hitting us during this time, so many different situations coming up that are unexpected. But God, we know that you're faithful. We know that you're building your church. And God, we are grateful for in advance for what you're going to do through tonight and through the investment of these leaders. And so, God, would you guide tonight? Would your Holy Spirit truly be working in a powerful way? We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so first I wanted to say this is our second all Citigroup leader training thing. And last time we met, which was, I don't know how many weeks ago that was. It's crazy to think. I think that was the first ever Zoom meeting that like I initiated or I ever led. which is crazy to think, because since then I've probably logged about 362 Zoom meetings. Like, it's just become what we do, right? And so here we are again. It felt maybe weird, and it was something endearing about it, but strange. And like, now we're in the thick of it. And I just want to say, first of all, that you guys have all sensed a calling to be responsible for being disciple makers, for being shepherds, for stepping up, for leading people, and caring for people's souls. And it's never an easy thing to do, but especially in this season, it requires a lot of thought, a lot of creativity. It requires a lot of just patience and steadfastness, and it requires just a perseverance to be able to work through just this season in leading people. And so I just wanted to say thank you to you guys, because it can be easy to check out, especially when most of the things that you know is familiar to discipleship actually get pulled out from under you. And so I just wanted to, first of all, start off by just saying thank you, and thank you for clearing time tonight. I know that a lot of you worked today, and you could be, just chilling with a roommate or your spouse, or, hanging out, watching Netflix, or whatever you could be doing, but you chose to be here, and we appreciate that. And I'm just thankful for the faithfulness and commitment. I think it's a thing that stands out amongst the leaders in our church, is just a sense of faithfulness, of commitment and loyalty to the cause of Jesus and to the mission of Jesus. And so really thankful for that. What I wanted to do, we're going to divide this meeting up into two parts. And just so you know, at the end of each part, we're going to break you out into groups along with your co-leaders. So some of you don't have co-leaders that are on here with you. You're going to be with your spouse during this time, and you can talk through that, and hopefully you won't feel too lonely. But I think it'll be okay. But the idea is there'll be some strategic time to break out and to discuss a few things in response to each section. And the first section that we're going to discuss has to really do with our current reality and what we're considering as city group gatherings and Sunday gatherings going forward. So yesterday, most of you probably tuned in, and I gave a little update, but it was necessarily vague to exactly our plan, because I wanted you guys to receive information, have a chance to process it before and get feedback from you before we would give it to the whole church about what we're planning to do as far as transitioning the church back toward being together. But I think you guys are going to play a key role in that. And I'll tell you about that in just a second and let you ask some questions. But before we go there, I wanted to say one of the things that we have noticed, and I think we've heard from a lot of you, and maybe all of you haven't felt this, but a lot of you have just kind of seen before your very eyes kind of the novelty of online community and of Zoom meetings and Zoom city groups. The novelty of that has worn off for a lot of people. Not everyone, but for a lot of people. Some of you just like seeing faces, and so as anything counts, you're like, okay, I just need to see people and talk to people. I'm an extrovert. Some of you, you can't, it's just hard to take the lack of depth or the ability to really connect with people over Zoom, and so it's become difficult. I mean, and if you would even see, you can see the number of like viewers even on Sunday mornings for our YouTube premiere for our Sunday gatherings, and that has, while it kind of climbed to where it was in Easter and the week after, it's, people are not quite as many people are tuning in, and that doesn't like make me nervous or freak out. It just tunes me into the reality that there's something shiny and cool about like this new thing that we're all excited about in this time of quarantine. It's like, oh, we can still do something. It's like, oh, this isn't the real thing. And so like, it's just kind of what happens. And so as we've considered that, we're like, okay, do we, what is next? Like, we need to be prayerful about this. Like, we need to help lead our leaders, and we need to help our leaders lead their people through this. How do we need to lead well in this season? How do we need to press forward in this season? And so specifically, as we've thought about what to do with city groups, we've considered just tons of different options about what we could do. And we've talked about changing structures. Some of you have changed some of your structures. And we've talked about creative ways to meet, creative ways to be together, all sorts of different things. And so one of the things that I wanted to tell you about was our plan specifically with Sunday mornings, which includes city groups going forward, because we think that there is an incredible value for in-person community. And we want to, in a wise way that is regarding like the health of our groups, we think it's wise to be able to move forward with that, because in-person community is just that's what community is. Like, we couldn't stay connected in the same way online forever. And so let me take you back to last week. We had an advisory team meeting, and we discussed what we wanted to do for Sunday mornings going forward, because Governor Ricketts had lifted the ban for churches to be able to meet. And as I said last week, or as I said yesterday on the video, going forward, we have to abide by the state standards, but we also have to abide by UNO standards. And UNO has said, I talked to him this afternoon, and they said most likely they will not let any events be on campus for the month of May. And so we're like, okay, we've got to just plan appropriately for how we value in-person community, but also we're wise and safe with what we're doing. So our advisors thought, well, considering that our city groups are essentially religious gatherings or worship gatherings, then why don't we have phase one of our of our transition back into, I guess, normalcy, if you will, be to have city groups, while appropriately socially distancing, have city groups gather together in homes to view the online gathering together, and then give a little bit of time afterwards for there to be some discussion on it. We don't have a ton of time to be able to do that, but and I have confirmed with the Douglas County Health Department that is actually a legitimate thing to do. Like, our in-home or our city groups gathering in homes could actually fit under the guideline of a worship gathering, and we could technically, if you're 6 feet apart, you can have more than 10 people in your home if you're 6 feet apart. And so what we wanted to do is to essentially pursue that as a first stage of what we're going to do before we move back into the Thompson Alumni Center in whatever that looks like. And that might be in June, it might be in July. And so that is kind of the plan A, or the phasing into this. And we would be up for like moving toward that immediately. And so we know that you guys have worked hard at staying connected with your people. We know that some of your people are chomping at the bit to get back together. Some other people have, whether it's because of health reasons or because they work in a hospital or they just feel uncomfortable, people might not be interested to do that. But we wanted to bring this to you kind of as an idea of, hey, this is what our current reality is. This is what our advisors have said, hey, I think this could be a good transition to move forward into kind of like connect with people in real community, but also not be foolish or unwise or illegal about doing it. And so that's kind of the first part of the plan. Jourdan, is there anything with that I'm missing?
No, I would just reiterate. So with that, we do have to maintain the 6 foot social distance rule, but we don't have to maintain the 10 people or less. And so you did mention that, but just wanted to reiterate, when we're thinking through this, we are thinking about still following the 6 foot social distance regulation.
So one of the hearts, as we've like thought and prayed about this, one of the things that you might, and I'll revisit this later in our second part, but one of the things that you might feel as a leader, as you're literally going through a grieving process, you might think that kind of sounds extreme, but there is actually like a grieving process to kind of this going on, is that we find ourselves just living in the present and just like doing what we have to do to get along, or trying to just keep our city groups afloat. And part of the goal of tonight's meeting in both sections is to kind of take a breath and say, okay, here's where we are, here's where we've been. It's just been hard to keep up with everything and create kind of new rhythms. But I think it's going to be a really healthy thing for us to start looking forward and start thinking once again, like it's a job of a city group leader regularly to like look forward, to think toward discipleship, to think toward community, to think toward mission. And I think that's part of the goal of tonight, is to say, okay, we made it this far. Like we've made it through the last couple months of crazy. And now I think God is trying to help us to lift our eyes toward the future, of to kind of dream of what it could look like moving forward. And so, and I think part of that is moving toward in-person gatherings. If you feel like God is calling your group to that, if you personally feel safe doing that. Now, we know that everyone is in a different situation, and there is absolutely no shame if people don't want to do that, which is part of the reason why we can't, like, we're going to let you make the decision on that. We can't mandate that you gather together. We would never want to do that, but we want to hear from you, hear from your people even on what you're thinking. And we've heard different reactions from different churches about how people are excited or not excited about getting together, depending on their context. So what I want to do is take a few minutes of time and to use you guys have, I assume, all been on Zoom long enough to raise your hand. And if you have a question, we're going to take a handful of questions right now that we'll try to address regarding this. And then any extra questions, we'll have you type in the chat, and we'll do an email response to the rest of the questions that don't get hit. And we'll go for we'll go for maybe a little less than 10 minutes here on a Q&A before we kick you out into groups. Jourdan, is that right? How do you want them to raise their hands?
Yeah, if you, it's hard because I can't see everyone's screens. And so if someone sees someone raising their hand and they're not on my screen, just tell me so I can unmute them.
So we're going to kick it to you regarding a plan to meet on Sundays in city groups and watching a video. What questions does that bring up? What would you like to know? How would you like to grill us? Oh,
Yeah.
hey, is that you? Oh wait, sorry.
It's me. Scott.
Yeah, it's Scott.
Hey. I don't understand the logistics of this. How do we meet in homes and stay 6 feet apart?
That's a good question. So tell me, are you specifically speaking to the fact that your city group has 31 people in it?
Okay, yeah, that's part of it. But also, like, I think in anybody's house, like, I guess I just don't see how that logistically works. But maybe people are more creative than me.
So, you mean like, so you talk about like walking through your kitchen and you're walking right next to people kind of thing?
Right. I mean, like, okay, so we meet at Sarah and Rachel's house.
Yeah.
Like, we could maybe get 6 people in there following these guidelines. And I mean, I guess that's better than nothing, but I guess I don't, maybe people have bigger places to meet than we do, but I don't see how that works.
I have one quick question, maybe kind of a follow-up to that. if you had less than 10 people, would you have to follow the 6 feet rule? Like where it wouldn't be subject to that, the guidelines, I guess, or yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Anne, your question first. I don't know what the language is around, because I think social distancing is a like in kind of a legal standpoint is like a suggestion or a recommendation. So I suppose technically that could be a thing, like the way that we have permission to meet like as more than 10 people is because we are a church gathering. And so, I mean, I wouldn't recommend for people to be like sitting right next to each other and chilling and hanging out. But and I would, I think the government would recommend that you be 6 feet apart, but I suppose technically that wouldn't be that couldn't be enforced on you. But Scott, I think, so one of the things that like, I get what you're saying. I get how people could be close together. We're not, one of the things that we're asking people to do, I think Jourdan might say something a little bit about this later, but just to ask people to think creatively. And so, like, there's a real chance that we could consider, well, Jourdan, tell about your idea for your group.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of houses like that would be hard to be in the same room and 6 feet apart. So, just thinking creatively, like, would you be able to put a TV in your backyard and have people bring lawn chairs and sit 6 feet apart in the backyard? Would you be able to do that? Like in a driveway, would you be able to do that? In a garage, would you be able to, potentially split your group into 2 different groups, so you have 2 different people hosting. And so I think the idea is that it's worth thinking creatively and kind of trying to think through some of these things that might on the outside be kind of awkward or weird, or how are we going to make that work. But the benefit of being able to gather in person kind of outweighs some of that. And so yeah, I think any idea to be able to gather together while maintaining that 6 foot social distance would be a win or a pro. So any other creative ideas could totally be an option too.
Josh, did you have a question before?
Well, I was just gonna ask what everybody was planning on doing, because yeah, Jourdan, that's exactly what our group is planning on doing. Is we're just gonna meet in our backyard because we couldn't all fit on one level here in the house. So we're gonna be on the backyard, bring the TV out to the deck, and see how great our service reaches out there. But yeah, I'd be curious as to what other people are doing, if anybody's thinking, has any other idea.
Zach, did you have a question? I saw you raise your hand.
Sorry, that was
yeah. I guess I had a question initially, or I was gonna say something initially when Scott asked his question, but Anne kind of said the same thing. When this whole thing started, we dropped to like a 50-person limit, and then we dropped to a 10-person limit. And we never went any further than that in Nebraska. We didn't implement stay-at-home rule. So actually early on, Sydney and I were going over to people's houses to watch church service, as long as, the groups were less than 10 people. And never along the timeline did we ever hear a requirement for 6 foot social distancing. So I guess that's comment number one. If you have less than 10 people, I don't remember, the 6 foot social distancing ever being a requirement. And then number two is that if you have a really big group, maybe it is just easier to, like, if you have 3 or 4 leaders that can divide and conquer, meeting at different places or just different places in the house, as a suggestion for somebody who has a really big group. and just take your groups and make sure they're less than 10 people. And then that takes kind of the pressure off of being so antsy about the 6 foot rule. So that's a thought.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. David, I saw you guys raise your hand.
Yeah, so my question was on the practical side, like I just don't even I don't know how it's possible with kids. Like they're not very good at distancing. And so I don't even know how you'd almost have to have like a spouse stay home with the kids, or I don't know how you would like creatively make a solution for
Bring
that.
your own
I guess.
playpen and just put them in.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's like kind of my question. Yeah. I mean, obviously no obvious answer, but.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, we were kind of thinking there's so we're going to have a little time with our group, our leaders, you know, for you guys and Carrie and I to discuss this, because it is much harder for our group. And there's maybe one other group that has kids that are big enough to like run around and play, but not as many as ours. And so I think that's part of the extra challenge that we have to figure it out. And so, and maybe it's not as much of a reality, or maybe, I don't know. We'll have to discuss and talk with the other people who are in our life stage too.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I guess for our group, and we could probably talk about this, you guys, when we all come together, but even if we're thinking, so yeah, a lot of our houses are really small and we do have 30 some odd people. However, the reality is a lot of people are nurses, and they will be probably pretty, I mean, it's safe to say, you guys can shake your heads yes or no, but probably pretty upset that we're meeting because, well, not all of them maybe. Sarah, would you say not all of them would be? Your face kind of gave that away.
I don't know. I don't know if upset is the right. I don't think upset. I just think
Wouldn't?
wise. I think we just need to be wise with how we do it.
Yeah. So knowing that not everyone would join, but also knowing that our houses are a little bit smaller. So if we did have 10 people in the house staying 6 feet apart, might not be it might not happen unless we have people outside in the backyard. But then what if weather's bad? You know, things like that. So I think I'm just thinking more logistics wise. If like, how do we as leaders, and maybe that's just praying about it, maybe that's just talking, but how would you guys say we should discern whether our group should or should not meet, especially in the context of, yes, Rick had said this, and so all of a sudden people are kind of jumping to let's meet together, but at the same time, the virus is still in the same spot that it normally is, and it's going to be like this for a while. So it's like, how should we as leaders, I guess, discern whether or not we should meet, if we should meet in multiple houses? I mean, is it better to have 3 people in one house and then just spread it out between a ton of houses? Is that better? I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm just thinking, like, is it better to do it in multiple houses with a few people and then have people stick with those same houses going forward?
Yeah, I mean, those are good questions, and it's there's a matter of wisdom here, and the reality is people have like different takes on like how they're treating this in general. And so part of this is so part of the this step is that we are putting this out here as a possibility to pursue. And we're saying, hey, if you can do this in a safe and wise way, and you think you're not endangering anyone, we think this could be a good thing. And you guys have all gone through some sort of like vetting process to be like leaders of people in our church. And so we trust like the spirit inside of you, and trust your ability to discern that you guys could make a good decision for your group, depending on your life stage, depending on what's going on. I do think, Raven, what you said is exactly right, in that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you always should do something. That's one of the reasons why I didn't just say in a video yesterday, hey, we're going to do this because we can, because the body of Christ is people, and people need to be to get like, it's a, hey, we're coming to you. We're giving you an opportunity to like speak in to some of this, ask hard questions, and then dialogue about it in just a second with your leaders, and even reach out to people in your group to get a feel for it. And some churches and some church leadership has been really surprised to hear. I just heard of one church today that's in our denomination, not in our city, but in our denomination, that was overwhelmingly surprised by how many people said, hey, if you gather, we're not coming. It was well over 50%. And so there's just different people have different reactions. And so this is kind of one of those like unprecedented things. And so we're kind of waiting out there. I'm not answering your question directly because I don't know if there is an exact way to say, hey, yeah, this is great. You should do this. Like everyone has kind of different information sources, different places where they're like feeling conviction from, even different contexts. And so that's where wisdom comes in.
Yeah, and I think what I would add too is it's going to be really easy to find a lot of reasons why like this wouldn't work or this would be difficult. But I think what Jared and I have trust in you guys as leaders is discerning whether those are like closed doors or if they're just like, hey, this is hard. I don't know if I want to like make this effort, if that's making sense. So there's like, we fully recognize this is hard and this is difficult, but we trust you guys to discern if it's wise and helpful for you guys as a leadership team and for your people as a city group as well.
So Jourdan, considering where we're at, I think it's probably be a good place to transition. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You can, if you want to write them privately to me or to Jourdan, you can do that too if you don't want everyone to see it, or you can just text or email us too, and we'll compile some of the answers. But go ahead, Jourdan.
Yeah, so we're going to take time just in breakout groups with your leadership teams to chat about some of this. And then in this time, there's two goals. One, your first goal is as much as you can to start the conversation and try to get on the same page as a leadership team, what you guys would like to pursue moving forward. So maybe it's talking about some of those creative ideas. It's sharing concerns, other thoughts with your leadership team, and trying to get on the same page with that. But second, Jared had mentioned how some churches in our denomination had began polling their people as to what their thoughts and their response would be as some of these restrictions lifted. And so we've crafted a text. You don't have to use this, but you're welcome to. But the idea is that after you guys get on a same page as a leadership team, what you want to do moving forward is just to begin to have a similar conversation that we're having now with the people in your group. So the same way we didn't want to come to you guys and say, hey, here's what we're doing, here's the plan, like, here we go. We want you guys to have a similar conversation with your group. And so I'll send that message in the chat so you guys have that as a reference, or you could even just copy and paste it. But the goal would be to start having this conversation with individuals in your group as well. And so I'm going to break you up. 2 goals: chat as a leadership team, try to get on the same page, and 2, just start that conversation with the people in your group with text message, or just kind of figuring out what your approach is going to be to that conversation. So am I making sense with all that? Nods, thumbs up, questions?
Hey, Jourdan.
Yeah.
Would you mind putting Crystal and I with the Ditmars and the hike camps and Anne, since we don't actually have a group yet, because we haven't been able to multiply?
Yep. Yeah, you're with them.
Awesome.
Cool. So I am going to do that. It should automatically fill you guys in there, and then I will put that text message in the chat. And we'll be in those for about 15 minutes. So if you don't get all on the same page, that's totally okay. We just kind of have to keep this meeting rolling. So here we go.
Weird, I wouldn't walk in when you're talking.
Okay, so then how do I do this? Join.
Hey everyone, we're back. Did everyone make it back safely through the time travel portal? That's great. That's great. Hey, I hope you got a little time to actually discuss and chat. I know that there will be a whole host of different responses to this. Did anyone, okay, I didn't see, Jourdan, did you send, where's Jourdan at? Jourdan, did your text go out?
I sent it in the chat. Can you guys see it in the chat? Do you want me to send it again?
Yeah, why don't you send it again? I don't see it.
Okay.
I'm a little bit old, and so I don't know how to work technology all the time. Oh, there it is. Shall I remain silent for the next 15 seconds while everyone skims through it real quick? Because no one's going to listen to what I say. Okay, so we are, so there's the text. What we want you to do is just be good listeners to your group, be good leaders, compassionate, empathetic, like in tune with your people, and actually reach out to people and ask them what they think could be like how they would respond to this. And getting good information from them is actually helpful for our church because it helps us know how to make wise decisions, whether it is with city groups meeting or it's even considering the next phase of church. If we might be gathering in the Thompson Center next month with people being together, it's just going to be really helpful for us to have a gauge on what people think. So, hey, thanks for doing that little time. You're going to get in just a few minutes a little bit more time with your group to discuss a few things. But here's what I wanted to do. So that is that's one piece of what we're thinking about, what Sunday mornings are. But what I wanted us to do is just to pause for a second. And I think there is something important in, I started mentioning this before, but we have been like just in the moment and kind of in like, okay, how are we figuring this out? How are we figuring city groups out? How is this working with Zoom? We're like, you know, some of our groups are declining in numbers. We're like, okay, the conversations just aren't the same. And it's easy to get like caught in the right now and long for what we used to have. And as we've prayed about this, we've just sensed God call us back to the original purpose of what city groups and city group leading is, and that is actually disciple making. And so what we wanted to do is give you permission for a second to not think about maybe how different Zoom is or how strange the patterns of you know, online city groups are, but to actually think about your people and actually think about how God may be calling your people into the journey of discipleship, whatever your next phase looks like. And so the reality is that God has entrusted people to you, and in entrusting people to you, there's this this responsibility that He's given us, kind of like shepherds, to try to help people grow in discipleship. And I think there's some people who are in our groups who, because of what's been going on, they've been kind of like on the fringe already. And because of this, they've kind of dropped off. And this might be an opportunity for us to reach back out to them and invite them back into what we're doing. There might be some people who are committed and solid in your group, and they're willing to do whatever, but they just need a structure with which to flourish in. And there might be some people in your group who, just because you haven't had time to think intentionally, like maybe during normal seasons of life, you're intentional about like thinking about the next leader, the next disciple maker in your group, and you're giving them leadership opportunities, thinking intentionally how to develop them so they could maybe one day multiply off. And the reality is this pandemic and quarantine has maybe like dropped our vision down a little bit. But the reality is there could be people in our groups who are ready to like go out and lead. So for me, I have failed in my huddle, I will say, in the last, I think we haven't met for well over a month now. And as I was thinking about this, the idea of this call to discipleship, what I realized is not only have I shortchanged the 3 other guys in my huddle by not meeting and not organizing, but through me not like initiating that, there are actually 2 other guys in the group that are not only like faithful members, but I've realized, okay, those guys are actually disciple makers. If I gave them other people and trusted to them, they could actually step up and like, they could multiply disciples themselves. And so I just felt convicted about that and realized that this pandemic has made me a little bit nearsighted to this idea of discipleship. And the reality is the call of discipleship, like Paul gives to Timothy in 2 Timothy 2:2, is still exactly the same. And I think there could be something even life-giving about lifting our eyes from our own circumstances and getting a vision for, hey, how is God actually calling us to move toward our people, even their individuals that are in our group? And so Jourdan asked you to come today with a roster of your group and even the huddles in your group. And the primary way that we do the in-depth discipleship is in our huddles. And so with the idea of huddles, I've got a document that I'm going to send you that Jourdan put together, some really, really solid stuff on what huddles are and just kind of like how they work if you're not familiar or you have kind of forgotten. I'm going to send you that in just a second. But the idea is that we would think intentionally about our people and the roster that we have, and being just like you're reaching out to them to ask them, hey, what would you think about gathering in person to watch? Then to have a follow-up question of just reaching out to them and inviting them into your discipleship structure. So what I'm going to do on this first page, I'm going to send you, I'll attach this right now, that I have, this is going to make some of you, honestly, you don't like categorizing people or putting people in boxes, and you're going to be like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't like this. You just roll with this for a second, because God has called us to lead these people. And so I have 3 categories of people that I want you to consider, and take the people in your group to see where you feel like they fit in. There's let me see. Oh, okay. I just sent this out right now. I've got fringe people, and these are the people who you need to reach out to, invite in. I've got the committed people, and these are people who are just faithful followers and who are around, and we need to just like offer them like a city group structure, a huddle structure for them to flourish in. And then investors. These are people who are maybe just rock solid, like the guys in my huddle, but I haven't been intentional with them and haven't called them into this. And so the idea is for you guys to come together, look at this PDF that I've given you, and maybe look down your roster and see, hey, how do we maybe need to engage these people? If we first ask them about this question that Jourdan just sent in the margin, how would we then need to follow up to invite them into a discipleship process? Do we need to give them people to disciple? Do we need to call out greatness in them and call them into this? Do we just need to invite them to be consistent again? Do we need to track down some people who maybe left the church a couple months ago? So that's kind of the idea. Jourdan, is there anything else that is helpful to clarify considering what I just said? Did I forget anything?
No, that's great.
Okay, so are you gonna break us up again?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get broken up again into groups, and are you gonna put the 15 minutes on there again?
Yes.
And we'll resume back after that, and we'll just have a handful of minutes after that, and we'll end right about at 8:30. And so we want you guys to take some intentional time and think about the people in your group and how God might be calling them into a discipleship structure. Once again, there's some huddle resources there for you too, if you need a refresher on that.
All right, here we go, guys. I even wanted to be in one. Huddles, can just our girls in a group breakout room, please? So how do I do that?
So you add a new group.
How?
How did you add one earlier?
Well, it was like before they were going. I'm just gonna say
Josh pays.
Rochelle, you left, and I was like, okay, well, what's the point?
I know. I had a split screen, and I tried sliding it over. Instead of sliding it over, I clicked return back to main meeting, and I was like, well, bye guys. See you later.
No.
Hey, when do I get to play keys?
What's up, Scotty?
Keys for you again.
What's up?
I said, when do I get to play keys for you?
You want to play this week?
I would absolutely love to play this week.
All right, I'll see you Thursday.
Perfect. What time?
We started recording earlier, so 1, if possible.
It's very possible.
Okay, I'll text you about it.
Sweet.
Scott, I miss your face.
I know.
I ran by your apartment
know.
the other day.
I got a
And you're
better
never
camera just so you could see it better.
You're never home when I run by your apartment.
I feel like that's not true. I'm home almost all the time.
I don't know, man. All I know is I didn't see you.
Every time you come into my apartment, you don't see it.
I just kind of look in your window. Like, see what you're up to.
My window's open. You should yell out, "Hey, what up, Scott?"
Hey, yeah.
I'd be
That'd
like,
be good.
"Hey." Yeah.
Do you guys want to keep talking or?
I mean, sure. So, what you been up to, Gabe?
Muted.
Yes, mute him. Hey, just so I had my PDF disappeared. But one of the things that I meant to say, I'll hand this over to Jordan, and she's going to wrap us up here in a second. But one of the things that I meant to say before we started this is we've had at least one group who's actually changed over from doing weekly city groups to actually doing huddles on their weekly nights, because the whole group discussion thing is pretty challenging via Zoom, and the smaller group, like 2, 3, 4 people, it's just easier to interact and to kind of like accomplish the goals of a huddle than it is to accomplish the goals of a city group. And so that might be something that you guys want to consider. And one of the reasons why we want to draw our minds back to the idea of just discipling and investing in people, thinking of even the faithful men who can invest are the faithful women who can invest in others. So that's just a thought that I meant to say before, but I forgot. So Jordan, I'm done.
Yeah, well, as you guys continue these conversations, we would love for you guys to reach out to your coach with questions. They're a resource and an asset to you guys. But the teacher in me has one assignment for you guys. As you guys land somewhere as to where your city group is going to be and what your plan is going to be moving forward, if you could communicate that with Jared and I, just so we know and can be up to date on those things, please do. So when you guys land somewhere, reach out to Jared and I, a text, phone call, email, and just let us know what your plan is. And then the second thing that I have for us is more just an encouragement. So as we've been talking about, our mission hasn't changed. Our mission is still to make and send disciples. And the even better news with that is that our just overarching vision of living all of life with the presence of God is still true in COVID-19. And so we still wake up each morning with new mercies, and we have the presence of the Lord with us. And so as we're thinking about how we are going to continue to lead our people in this season, I hope that we can rest on that truth and rest on that promise that we do have the presence of God with us, and we would pursue some of these decisions, some of these ideas, tuning into and leaning into the Lord with it. And so I don't have much more than that. Just know that we're thankful for you guys, incredibly thankful for you guys. You lead our people, and you guys are doing a really good job at it, even though sometimes it feels like there isn't much progress or movement. And know that we're thankful for you guys, Jared and I both, and your people are also incredibly thankful for you guys as leaders. And so that's what I have for you guys. I'll leave this open for 10-15 minutes if people want to chat, just because I know we all love each other a lot and wish we could be in the same physical room. But yeah, Jared, did you have anything else?
No, I'm good. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for leading, y'all.
Gabe, how many more popsicles are you gonna eat tonight?
Well, I might have to go to the store. I'm almost out.
Yeah.
They look so good.
Austin literally has been whispering, "Hey, that popsicle looks really good."
I'm so jealous right now.
Yeah, they're pretty good. What's been your favorite COVID-19 snack?
That's a good question.
Peanut
Oh,
butter-
actually, Austin's work sent us a box. It literally was a box of snacks that are specific to Nebraska. So it like had a big Nebraska on it. So it was like Eileen's cookies, Scooter's coffee pods. It had what's the crazy popcorn place?
Something red, Colby Ridge.
It had Baker's
popcorn,
chocolates.
Baker's chocolate.
So that was clutch.
Wow.
Wells.
Too late to be eaten.
Wellsy!
Here. He was saying, Jojo! Look, you can talk now.
Wells! What's up, bud?
I go, she's not going to recognize you. You have a mask on.
Was that the Batman mask?
Yeah, he was like, Mom, are they all scared? I'm sure they are.
Trevor,
Now
did
she's
you
wanting
go
a
to
popsicle.
labor, or why is she gone?
This baby girl stealing my ZVI.
Why, Mommy, why are people leaving?
People are leaving.
God, why?
He's like, why can't we all just hang out? He literally goes, why can't they all come to our house?
No.
That's a good question, Wells. Why can't
Yes,
we?
or when? I'm sorry, you said when can they all come to our house? I
No.
apologize. You know why they can't.
What they can, bud?
Because Wells runs around going, I have coronavirus. I'm like, please do not say that out in public, okay? Like, people will run.
Oh my gosh.
The first time he said that, I tried to get him on camera, and he said, I don't have coronavirus. And then, like a true rebel, I said, wait. And I got my phone out, and I said, wait, Wells, what did you say? He's like, I have coronavirus.
Oh my
That's weird.
Wait, I'm curious. What is their understanding of all this? Do they like know like, oh, there's like a sickness that we're not supposed to get, or do they just think they're at home all the time?
No, I mean, they know that there's a sickness, like a virus, you know, they kind of get that. But like, we've decided we're like taking everything slow with like our city group. Cause I'm like, if we like get together and then have to decide not to get together, they will freak, you know, like they're all so over it. We all are actually. So yeah. So they're just like, why can't our friends come over? Why can't we go to our cousin's birthday party? Why can't like our church friends come over, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we see neighbors and they're like, I want to go to their house. So anyway, they get it and then they don't get it, you know, because they run around saying, I have coronavirus. Stop saying that.
So glad Crystal's here still.
Is she Crystal?
I don't think she is.
Hey, I'm
What?
here.
She is
Cute.
here.
I'm shopping.
Girl,
Sorry.
I love the mask. That's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, Meredith's mom made it for me. It was so cute.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. I felt very loved.
Does she want to make 500 more?
I know. She used like my favorite, or one of my favorite, like patterns. So I appreciated that.
That's awesome.
Just getting these, you know.
That's a big roll. Is that Baker's or Hy-Vee or Target?
I'm at Target. They actually have some decent prices on things.
Nice.
But yes, good to see you all.
I went to the Hy-Vee the other day, and they have one-way traffic. All their lanes are one way. It's kind of crazy.
Hy-Vee?
All their aisles, you can only go one direction.
Oh.
Except for
Yep,
the
I saw that
alcohol
the other day.
The alcohol aisle, you can go both directions because people need to go both. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's not so in popsicle aisle.
Nope.
That's funny. Rachel, how are you guys? I haven't seen you.
There we go.
There you go.
Alt A. All right.
We've been good. We both got furloughed. So we've been home for about 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, how's it going?
I just sit right here most of the days.
Is that a popsicle or a cheese stick?
The cheese stick. This is what I eat every day.
That's the go-to COVID snack.
Yeah.
Cauliflower
That's
crackers.
fancy.
Okay, okay.
Aldi brand. Good stuff.
So what has that meant for you guys as far as, does that mean is like furlough? Does that mean you're supposed to like stick around and wait for them to?
Kinda, yeah. I mean,
Technically, we both had to file for unemployment,
Yep.
and we work for our place, but we don't.
we don't know these people.
William, get out of the way.
That's
our roommate.
Rachel's brother.
Oh, just a roommate.
Right, that's like just a roommate.
Yeah, so basically my job sent a letter saying that you don't work for us anymore, and you have no say in anything. Don't answer questions about our company, nothing along the lines. You're not allowed on the property. But if we open back up, we'll probably call you back.
Wow.
When Cole's told me, they said that I'll probably have a job after this, but we don't know when our store will open.
So
that's that.
Because I got a job at Top Golf in the maintenance department, and so when we were about like 1 week away from like opening,
yes,
all this happened and stuff, and so like for a little bit we were able to go in because we don't have a whole ton of people there at the time. Like all the people training for like waitress and stuff like that, they weren't allowed to come, but like the maintenance department was low enough, and we were coming in kind of shifts, so not everybody each time, so we had to keep 10 people or whatever, and outside where we were working on the field because we were still building the field at the time. And so, and then all of it just kind of was like, nope, no one's allowed. And so
Man, I was looking forward to Top Golf too.
I know, but
It's gonna be pretty cool once it's open.
Yeah, so Carrie's job got eliminated at or her position, I guess, got eliminated at she's a nurse at the hospital and at Bergen, and so all her nursing friends were filing for unemployment, and some of them had a crazy time getting it, and some people it was right away the first week, and some people had to wait on hold for 3 hours for like multiple days for multiple weeks. It's just it's a mess.
I didn't know that Carrie's job position got eliminated. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. You would think that during a global pandemic that you wouldn't have to worry about a nurse's job getting cut, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Like permanently or just temporarily or?
The position of being like a float, like she floats from floor to floor, that whole position got cut, and they encouraged them to try to apply for like what they call core positions that would just like be on a staff, but they didn't guarantee anything. And so most of them tried to go to other places and find jobs. So
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Is it because they didn't want people like going and like interacting with multiple different like groups?
That might have been a little bit of it, but they heard that. They have heard that they were trying to eliminate that position altogether for a while because they were thinking that financially it wasn't the best thing for their company because they were paying it's a long story, but they pay like a $1 per hour incentive when you sign up for shifts. And so it's essentially a position with no benefits. Like you get no benefits, no PTO. You just get paid a decent chunk of money. And they were like, yeah, I think it's just too confusing to have like a bunch of different systems, and we're not capitalizing financially on this. And so they had a vision to cut this position for a while. And so this was an opportune time to cut it while none of the elective surgeries were going on. And the census was low in the hospitals. So they did it.
Wow.
Yeah. But she's going to work a new job. She's on her way.
Woo! She's what?
She's on her way to working a new job.
What job is that?
She's gonna work with a home health company where she's gonna go work with patients in their home for up to 60 days at a time. And so she'll get assigned like clients that are fairly close to where we live or fairly close to our part of town. And then she'll just go around and have like 6 different appointments in a day that she'll do, 5 to 6.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it'll be very different, but yeah, so it'll be good.
Yeah. What about you, Ashley? Are you working from home?
Yeah. Yep. So far, there's no plan to go back yet either.
Yeah. Austin just got told today, what date?
June 15th is the number that they told us, or the date, but they said that was the absolute earliest that anyone would be doing anything different.
That anybody what?
That anyone would be doing anything different in terms of location. that
Okay.
they were
Yeah.
in. And they said even at that point, if everything is looking good, it's going to be a slow transition for different groups of people to kind of slowly transition back. But it was nice to have a little communication about it. That was helpful.
Oh, have they not been?
Well, they've communicating a lot, but not really about like looking forward.
Plan. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's nice to at least hear a date.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. We get weekly update videos or whatever. And one of them a few weeks ago was from the International Space Station, because there's an HDR employee whose sister is up there. And she was like, if you guys think social distancing is hard for like 2 months, I've been doing it for like 6 months in space.
Oh my word.
Oh my God, that puts things into perspective.
Yeah. It was really fun. It was cool.
That is cool. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What about you,
So-
Crystal? Are you working?
Yeah, working from home, and it's been really busy. I work at a company, it's a software company, and we create engagement software that is digital. So a lot of companies are either hiring us or doing more with us because you can meet like one-on-one with your manager, like virtually through the software, and have performance conversations, or like recognize employees virtually, set goals or give feedback, and then also take surveys. So a lot of people are sending out surveys through our software. Yeah, just to feel out how people are doing in the pandemic. And so I've been like super busy. Normally you get like, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks heads up before someone launches a survey, because companies are so big and there's so much red tape that they have to get everything approved like a billion times. And right now, like I got on a call like on Thursday of last week to set up a survey, and it launched on Friday, which just like, it was like Thursday at the end of the day and it launched Friday morning. So that doesn't probably seem that fast, but for like huge organizations, and them learning how to use the software for the first time, it's really quick. So yeah, it's been really busy, and it's been good, but busy, especially because a couple of my roommates and friends like aren't working right now. So they're just like, I don't know, wanting to talk to me or hang out. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we would never
for
thought
sure.
it would be this busy or crazy. But then also like other companies, they have to like fire us because they don't have the money to pay for it during the pandemic because they're firing employees. So it's like we're really busy, but also losing some customers. Yeah, hoping not many people have to get laid off, but like 4 people did, which is it's like 100-person company, so it's like not that big of a proportion, but that's still like 4%. So hopefully no more layoffs.
Yeah, hopefully.
Why it picks us up.
Well, I think we're gonna go to bed.
Sounds good.
Yeah, get to bed early.
Good catching up with
I'm gonna-
everybody.
Yeah, good to see everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.